Hey everyone, welcome to the second video in my JavaScript Maps API tutorial series, where in this video we're going to be going over the different types of maps that we can display using the Maps JavaScript API. So by default, there are 4 types of maps available within the Maps JavaScript API. Those are Road Map, which is the default map type here. We have Satellite, which displays Google Earth satellite images, which you can see if we click on this. We have Hybrid, which displays a mixture of both normal and satellite views, and we also have Terrain, which displays a physical map based on terrain information. And so the information about each of these map types is held by Google's map type interface. And the map type interface is essentially responsible for translating real-world coordinate systems to coordinates on your computer screen. So essentially, it converts real-world latitude and longitude to pixel coordinates. Along with the default map types provided by Google, we can also create our own custom map types, which we will be doing later in this video. But for now, we're focusing on the basic map types provided by the API. So let me go back to the default, which is just road map. And so the way to change the type of map being displayed is through the map type ID property of the map object. And one way to do this is through the map object constructor. So we have our map object here, and we have our map options that we pass in. So we can change that. We can add some keys into this to change the map type. And actually for this, I'm going to copy and paste this and make a second file called video2.html so we can have the first one saved. And then I'm going to close out of this and open up another one here. And then close this. So let me show you this. So the key to change the map type is called map type ID. And then we can pass in the map type we want. So say I pass in satellite. You can see now it loads as a satellite view. So of course, whatever string we put in here, what was the other one, I think? Terrain. So if we do terrain, you can see we get the terrain map. So we can get rid of this. So we can change our map type through the constructor. Remember, we pass this map options to the map object that we create, and we pass it in here into the constructor. And then there is also another way we can change the map type, and that is using the function, where did that go? That is using the function set map type ID. And then of course we can just pass in the string what we want. So you can see again, it changed it to satellite. So it should be noted that when we do this, we aren't actually setting the map type directly. The map type ID references a map type. This will become clear when we create our own custom map, but for now, just keep this in the back of your mind. And now another cool thing we can do with these map types is 45-degree imagery. And this is done with using the method set tilt, like this. So then we pass in, say we want the tilt to be 45, so we put in 45 degrees. And so you might be wondering what tilt actually does. And so of course, so let me show you this by zooming in a bit more, or sorry, the other way. So 16, let's zoom into our map more. Let's change the map type to satellite. And you can see how it looks 45 degrees. You can see how everything's kind of tilted around. Let's see what happens if I set this to 0. You can see now we have a top view, but we can say pass in 45 and we get a cool view like this. And then another cool thing we can do is we can actually get the tilt from our map object. So let me actually create let's do an h1 tag here. Let's give it the ID, just info. And if we do something like this, document, get element by ID, info, and we set the inner HTML of that to map.get tilt. So this method will show the tilt. So you can see right here we have 45 degrees, and let me just put this on top. So I can do that, of course, by using flexbox, direction, column. And cool, we have 45 up there. So that's just how we can retrieve the tilt. And also I think, let me zoom in so you can see this better. I don't know if that was zoomed out too much. But so that's what tilt is that you can do with maps. But let me just let you know that this tilt is only applied for certain locations. So you can't use this tilt of 45 degrees everywhere, and it is only supported by the satellite and hybrid map types at zoom levels of 12 or greater. So if you zoom out past 12, so let's say we do 11, you can see we don't have a tilt anymore, but we can if we are at 12. So make sure that you are in either satellite or hybrid map types and zoom levels of 12 or greater for this to work. And now another cool thing we can do when our map is displaying 45-degree imagery is change the map's orientation. And this can be done through the setHeading method on our map object. So let me do map.setHeading, because remember this map object here represents this whole map. And then what we pass to this method is a number that is expressed as degrees from north. So say we pass 180 degrees, and let me zoom in to make this better. Let's do 16 again. So if I pass in 180 degrees, that means we'll be facing south, because of course north is this direction. So let's see what happens if we do this. You can see now we're facing the other way. And if I, of course, do 0 in here, you can see we rotate around. But so now I've just shown you a few methods that we can do with our maps and also the built-in map types. I want to start talking about creating our own custom map. But before we do this, we need to know about the Map JavaScript API's map type registry. So each map object has a map type registry that contains the map types available for that map object. So if we created another map object here, that would have its own map type registry. So creating a map object implicitly creates a map type registry. And we can alter this map registry to select the map types that we actually want available to the map object. In other words, if we want to apply a custom map type that we made to our map, we need to add it to our registry. Also, we can make map types such as satellite unavailable to our map object by removing it from the map type registry. So essentially, whatever map types are in the map type registry can be applied to our map. This will make more sense as I demonstrate it, so don't worry. But so first, let me show you what happens if we remove the satellite map type from our map type registry. And this can be done by modifying the map type control options and then passing in an array of the map types we want available. So this will make more sense when I show you. But so what we do is we use the key map type control options, and then we pass in an object, and we pass the key map type IDs, and then this is an array of the ones that we want available. So if you can remember, the default map type is road map, and say map type control options are these here. So these things right here. So let's see what happens if I just save it like this. You can see those are gone. And now the only option we have is road map. So that's kind of similar to what it would be like if you removed a map from the map type registry of a certain map. So then say we want to actually allow hybrid, and we save this. You can now see we have hybrid appear. And so we can click on this, which I think hybrid will switch based off like how zoomed in, or it's a hybrid of it's a hybrid of just satellite views and then the regular default road map. So now, when it comes to creating your own custom map, this essentially means changing the actual display of roads, parks, buildings, and things like that. So for example, you could have a Halloween themed map or a Christmas themed map or whatever you can think of. And this can be done two different ways. Using the Google Cloud Console, so this here that we've been using, let me close out of this tab, or using JSON style declarations. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with JSON style declarations first. And this essentially means changing the style of the map using JSON syntax. Specifically, to apply styles to a map, you create an array of map type style objects. And each of these objects describes how a certain feature, such as roads, parks, buildings, should look. So what we're going to do is let's create let me get rid of this, but let's create our array and name it map type styles array. So I'm just going to do var map type styles array, set it equal to an empty array. And now if you remember, this array, or as I said just a second ago, this array should take map type style objects. And map type style objects are objects that contain the keys feature, or actually probably easier to see if I do it this way. And so this is a map type style object in this array, and it takes the keys feature type, Just gonna leave these as empty strings for now. Element type, and then also stylers, which takes an array. And also, it should be noted that the feature type and element type keys are optional, while the key stylers here for a map type object is required. So the feature type key selects the map features to be styled. And these features are geographic characteristics such as roads, parks, bodies of water, etc. So if you don't specify a feature type, then every feature type will be selected. And this is why the key is not required, because it will select everything by default. However, of course, this is best demonstrated with an example. Let me zoom out. I'll just leave it like this for now. But so let's say we wanted to style all the bodies of water. What I would do is I would set the key in here to water. And I will post a link in the description of all the features available for customization. But essentially, these features are administrative, which selects all administrative areas, landscape, which selects all landscapes, POI, which selects all points of interest, roads, which selects all roads, transit, which selects all transit stations and lines, and water, which selects all bodies of water. And most of these features have more specific features nested inside them that can be accessed using .syntax. For example, say you wanted to style all the highways. What you would do is you would do something like road.highway for the feature. Or if you wanted to select all man-made landscapes, you would do, for the feature type, landscape.man-made. But so all these, of course, are going to be in that link that I post, because I'm not going to be going over all of them because it's quite a bit. But yeah. But now let's work with our next key in our map type style object, and this is element type. So elements are subdivisions of a feature. For example, a road consists of the text representing the road and the actual line that represents the road. So if I zoom in, you can see, like here, S. Ashland Avenue. We have the road, and we also have the text that represents it. So let's just say, let me refresh this. So we're back to our zoom level. But let's say we want to change the text that represents bodies of water. We would pass in to element type labels. And this selects the textual labels associated with the specified feature, which here is our body of water. So this is saying we want to style the text over bodies of water. And so just like feature type, there are multiple options. And these options are geometry, which selects all the geometric elements of the feature, which essentially means the shape, and also labels, which selects the text labels associated with the feature. So then, once again, we can specify what we want to style even further using .syntax. So we want to style the text of the label. So we would do labels.text. And then, once again, all the options will be available in that link I'll provide in the description. Also, let me show you where the text is in the water. So if I zoom in here, you can say we have Monroe Harbor. So this right here is saying we want to style the text that is over this body of water, which is this right here. But now, the final key I want to go over for a map type style object is stylers. And so what you provide to stylers is an array of objects. So I'm going to do another thing like this. And so each object in here is a styler. And as the name suggests, stylers are formatting options for map features. In other words, you can change things such as color, saturation, visibility, and a few more. So let's say we want to change the color of the label text on bodies of water to red. Then what we would do is we would pass it the key color, and then we pass in hexadecimal value, and red I believe is FF1234, like this. And so now actually I defined this in the wrong area, because what we want to do is we want to pass this the key styles, and this takes this array here. So let me declare this above our map options, and then pass in map type styles array. And now let's zoom in, see, and you can see now that we have Monroe Harbor is the color red. So let me change the color just to show you how it works in real time. Let me do maybe 16 for zooming in, and it's red still. Let's change it to this color here, and let's move over, and now you can see we have purple like this. So as a quick side note, it should be noted that the color that you provide here must be a hexadecimal value. So it can't be a word such as red, and once again, the list of customization options will be in that link provided in the video description. But now let's just practice with this a little more. So remember, this is the key where we pass our map styles array, and these are all the features and stuff that we want to change. So let's make another object here, and let's do this time. Let's make all the highways to be black. So I'm going to do, or it's not feature, it's feature type. I'm going to do road, because a highway is a road or a subset of one. So we do road.highway, and then for element type, we're going to do geometry this time, because we're not working with the text or anything, and we want to change the fill of it. And then what we want to do is for stylers, we pass an array of objects, and for the color of this, black is just all zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if we do this, you can see now our highways have been changed to a black color. And let me zoom out to make this more visible, so you can see we've done that. And now let's do another thing. Let's turn off the visibility of all man-made things. So to do this, we're going to create another map styles object, and we're going to do feature type to be landscape.man_made. We're going to do the element type to be fill again, fill, and instead of color this time, inside here, we are going to do something visibility and just set that to off. And so let me look up what even are some man-made things around here. Well, just know that this will set the visibility of some man-made things or man-made things to be invisible. But so it's cool how we can customize the map this way using JSON syntax. But lucky for us, Google has also provided a way to customize your map using their Google Cloud platform. So instead of hard coding all these values, we can use a nice interface to style our map. So let's create a custom Google map using the Google Cloud platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maximize this, and I'm going to go to our console, or go back into the console. So to link the map that we will make in this Google Cloud console with our web page, we need to use a map ID. And a map ID is a unique identifier that represents an instance of a Google map. So earlier, if you can remember, we were using a map type ID to change the map, map type ID to change the map, not a map ID. But so let's go to our navigation menu, our Google Maps platform. Remember, I pinned it, which is why it's going to be up here. And we're going to go to Map Management. And then from in here, we're going to do Create Map ID. So now let's name our map. I'm going to just call it My Practice Map. And the map type will be JavaScript, of course, because we're doing the JavaScript API. And then I'm not going to leave a description blank. And then we have the option raster or vector. And so maps are loaded as raster by default, meaning the maps are loaded as pixel-based raster image tiles. And vector type, on the other hand, is composed of vector-based tiles that use WebGL to make 2D and 3D graphics. And we're going to choose raster basically because not all web browsers support WebGL. So if you're deciding between those two, that's just why I'm going with raster, because not all web browsers support WebGL. But so then let's press save. We can see we have our map ID. But now what we need to do is, so we've created our map ID, now we need to create a map style. And a map style is essentially the map we are creating. A map style is just applied to a map ID. So map styles are cool because we can apply the same map style to multiple map IDs. So meaning we could have one map style and then we could have just lots of IDs representing it. But for now, let's just create a map style. So we're going to go back to the navigation menu, Google Maps platform, and then we're going to click on Map Styles, which is here. And then we're going to do Create Style. And so this is where you select the base map that you will be styling. You can also see some cool options such as optimizing it for real estate, retail, things like that. And you can also see how we can import JSON style or import JSON to style the map which is exactly like we were doing earlier. But this is just a starter template. The end result of any of these options could be the same depending on how you actually style it. But for now, let's just click Save. I'm just going to use the default options. And let's give it a name. Let's do Practice Map Style. And let's do Save. And so you can see this is where we would associate our map ID with this style. But for now, we're going to do that in a bit. So for now, let's just skip this and click on Customize Style. And so this is where we can do everything we did with our JSON style, but with a simple user interface. But so let's go to Chicago, which is where we were doing it earlier. So Chicago, Illinois. But you can see on the left navigation bar, you can see what it lists is our feature type first. So we've got administrative, landscape, points of interest. So if we go back in here, you can see we had landscape, road, and let's look in here. You can see we have road. Did I say landscape? Yeah, we have landscape, and we have water. So these are our feature types. And then you can see the more specific ones are inside here. So what did we do? We did water and then labels.text. Or sorry, let's do this one. We did road and then .highway. So if we look in here and we look at road, you can see we have highway. So you can see it's basically in a tree structure where the more nested it is, the more specific it is. For example, you can see transit, and then the type of transit could be line, and then it could be rail or ferry, or even routes. But let's click on transit, and then let's click on rail. And now that we've clicked on it, you can see the element type. So we have feature type here. Now you can see the element type appears. And you can see we have geometry and labels like we talked about in our JSON styling. So we have geometry and labels. So for road highway, we have geometry. And then we have fill and stroke. So say we want to change the fill of our transit rail to blue. We can just change the color. So let's click on fill, and let's just do, a blue like this. And now if we zoom in, so I don't think we were zoomed in, you can see now we have our transit rails are all listed as blue. And of course we could have done the exact same thing in here, but it's just easier to do with this interface. Or now let's say we want to change the visibility of our icons for parks. So let's go to, first let's see where a park actually is. We've got Jason Andrew Park here. Let's go to, where would it be? I think it would be under points of interest, and then park, and then under here let's select icon, and for the icon let's do set visibility to be off. So if we zoom in, I think they had, it's some kind of, let's change it back to on actually and see. So you can see right here we have this little forest or little tree thing, and you can see they all disappear if we change the visibility between on and off. So that's just some more customization. So now let's just change one other thing. Let's just, because I'm not going to go really in depth on this, I'm just showing you this is what you can do. Let's do geometry fill. Let's do like red. So now we can see we've changed all the bodies of water to be red. But so like I said, I'm not going to go too in depth on what we can do here, as it's fairly self-explanatory. You can just play around. But now what we want to do is let's save our map style. So I'm going to click Save up here, and then what we want to do is link it to our map ID that we created. So let's click Publish. So we can see now our style has been published, so we can use it. And now let's go back over to our navigation menu, Google Maps Platform, and then we go to Map Management. And you can see we have our map ID right here. So let's click on this, and then you can see we have map styles associated. And if we click on this, you can see we have that map style that we saved and published. So let's click on that. You can see our beautiful style that we made here with the blue rails and the red water. But let's click Save right here. And now map updated successfully. And now let's copy our map ID. So what I'm going to do, right here, click Copy to Clipboard. And to link it with our website, so if we do this, where'd it go? Open up this here. Let's open up our document, and let's click Refresh. And now what we do is to add this map ID, let me get rid of all this stuff. If we want to add our map ID, what we do is we use the key map ID in our map style or in our map options, and then we just pass it in as a string. So let me save it. Oh, and I put a semicolon there. And now you can see what it's done is it has has loaded the map style that we made or linked to this map ID. And you may have to refresh the page a few times for it to finally load, but that's how we can relate or join our custom map that we made in here to our website. So instead of doing all those options, you can see we can just use the interface to this interface here to create our own map style and then just link it. Of course, you can do the JSON here, but I think that's a lot more work and it's a lot easier to just use that interface that Google provides. But so this was my video on map styles. I hope you found it useful. What I'm going to be doing in the next video is we're going to be going over markers. So basically those are just little shapes that you can put on your map to just point to a specific latitude and longitude. But that's what we're going to be doing in the next video. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, but I'll see you next time.